Hi dancers, Jess here. Welcome back to the Whole Dancer YouTube channel, or if you're new, welcome back, or if you're new, welcome for the first time. Today I wanted to chat about what to do if you ate too much. So this can mean a couple of things. Say you went out to a restaurant and the food was really delicious and you just maybe didn't stop when you were at your satisfied place and went beyond that and sort of feel a little yucky as though you overate. Or it could be a situation where you were really hungry because you hadn't eaten in a while and you started snacking and you just went overboard. Sometimes when we let too much time lapse between eating and not eating, or between not eating and then eating again, or between eating and then eating again, if we let too much time go by, we are so hungry that we feel a little bit out of control, and the food consumption just kind of gets out of control and you go overboard. And then there's the other scenario where maybe you have had a binge, which is defined as eating large quantities of food in a somewhat small amount of time. So you're eating somewhat quickly, you're not really thinking about it, and you're just really overeating. With any of those scenarios, I think one of the best things to do is to ask yourself, why did this happen? If it was the restaurant situation, maybe you just were thinking, oh, this food is so delicious, let me eat more of it, and not taking the time to say, well, when am I satisfied with the food, and then stopping. With a binge, it could be that you were feeling really emotional or tired or stressed out, and you then were using the food as a way to sort of block out those feelings and not think about those stresses that had come up for you that day or that week or whatever it might have been. And you kind of were using the food to drown out other things going on for yourself. By identifying what happened and asking yourself, really, why did I go down this path? What exactly was going on for me when it happened? You'll be able to avoid it in the future, which is important. When it comes to finding your satisfaction level with food, like when you're at a restaurant, it's really important. It's a great skill to develop, to say to yourself, I need to find that balance between satisfying my desires and overeating. When you go to a restaurant, you should always find something that's a healthy option to buffer your meal, whether it's before as a salad or if it's during as a side of an additional vegetable or whatever it might be. You want to buffer a more indulgent meal with those healthy things so that you can indulge and not feel guilty about it and just enjoy the food. But at the same time, with the indulgent food, you want to be able to find the limit with it and find out how much you can eat and feel satisfied without going past the point of satisfaction. Taking care of those wants, but not going totally out of control or overboard. A lot of times with food, it's important to say to yourself, it's important to reinforce for yourself that just because something is indulgent doesn't mean that you're never going to eat it again. When we tell ourselves, well, I'm going to eat this indulgent meal, but after this, I'll never have it again, then a lot of times it becomes hard to stop eating because you're saying, well, I'm never going to eat it again, so let me just eat the whole thing. So you don't want to set yourself up in that way for sort of setting yourself up for failure. You want to consider what your mindset is around the food and make sure that it's in a healthy, balanced place. And make sure that you always know you can eat those things again. Just because you have cake on your birthday doesn't mean you're not going to have cake again at some point in the next couple of months or weeks or whatever it might be. In order to avoid that overeating episode from happening again in the future, find that balance for yourself and try to find and cultivate that balanced mindset around your food and food choices. So when you do overeat, because it does happen to all of us, the best thing to do as far as the food is to go back to normal eating as soon as possible. So if you went overboard for dinner or you went overboard at night, go to bed, wake up the next morning, wait until you're hungry, which might not be right away, even if you're typically hungry right away. When you overeat, a lot of times you'll still feel it the next morning. So wait until you feel hungry and have a regular breakfast. Don't try to counteract the overeating by undereating, because that typically gets us into a cycle where we're then undereating and then binge eating or overeating, and then undereating again and binge eating or overeating. And that cycle can be very dangerous, and it can last a long time, and it is not a healthy, balanced way for you or your body to take in food. So eat normally the next day. Focus the next day on super healthy food. So, try to have greens at every meal. Try and make sure you're making really great choices. So you're not under eating or depriving yourself, but you are focused even more so than maybe normal on super high nutrient, healthy foods that are going to nourish your body and make you feel good. They're also high fiber foods, so it's going to keep everything moving and help your body to sort of process the influx, the large amount of food that you ate prior to that. Drink lots of water. It might be a nice time to have some lemon water to aid in digestion and detoxification for yourself after the overeating episode. Don't beat yourself up about it. One of the worst things that we do to ourselves is to berate ourselves for overeating one time or overeating more than one time. Every time we overeat, we beat ourselves up, and that has this negative impact on our mindset around our bodies and food, and also just has a big impact on how we approach food in general. Food shouldn't be the enemy, so we need to create a positive relationship with what we're eating and what we're consuming in order to keep it in a positive mindset with food. The mindset around food and your body is so key to having a good relationship with both elements. So try and cultivate that by reminding yourself that beating yourself up for it is not going to take you anywhere. When you overeat, it's also really important to set up a game plan for the next time you might be in a similar situation, so that you don't constantly get into the same scenario for yourself or constantly set up the same patterns for yourself. If it's something that is a challenge for you to manage, maybe seek outside help about it. Working with a coach or therapist or someone who specializes in food relationships is going to help you to cultivate and create this positive situation for yourself with food. When it comes to food and eating and feeling like you ate too much, it's very important to notice whether or not you're recognizing your hunger and fullness cues. If we get out of touch with that for our bodies, it can be very challenging to find a balanced relationship with food, or to eat just to the point of satisfaction and not go beyond that. One of the reasons that I'm so anti-calorie counting is that it really takes away the intuitive nature that we should all try to work for when it comes to food. If you listen to your body, pay attention, take pause after each bite, break up your bites with some water, and take some time, put your fork down, think about how you're feeling before you move on to the next food choice or the next bite. It's going to help you to really feel when you're full, feel when you're satisfied, and feel when you're still hungry for more food. So a big idea, a big tip with this is to really slow down. When you eat too fast, you're not going to be able to recognize when you're satisfied or full. So slow down. Take some deep breaths as your food arrives. Take in the smells and the sights of your food. Think about how lovely it's presented. When you're eating at home, I think you should take the same care and time to present food to yourself in this beautiful way so that you can take it in fully before you start to eat. And then when you do start to eat, you want to really take your time and slow down in order to recognize hunger and fullness cues so that you don't get into a situation where you have overeaten and you are feeling guilty. Don't worry too much what anyone else thinks of your eating habits. You need to figure it out for yourself. And by giving yourself positive motivation and trying not to worry about messages from parents or fellow dancers or worrying about what other dancers are doing or not doing, you've got to focus in on yourself and figure out how you're going to take care of it for you. And that goes for overeating, that goes for figuring out the best eating plan for yourself. It goes for so many things around food in your body. So how can you use what you know about your own experience to improve your situation? Overeating is not the end of the world. It's going to happen sometimes. As soon as you're able to move on from it and forgive yourself and move on, the better off you'll be. Remember, each new choice, each new meal or snack is an opportunity to turn it all around. And just because you've made one choice that maybe wasn't your best, or maybe you weren't listening to your body closely enough, it doesn't mean you can't fix it moving forward. Your relationship with food is going to be a learning experience. It's going to evolve and shift and change over the course of your life. So be open to giving yourself that space to figure it out and stay positive, because I know that once you cultivate that positive relationship with food and you don't beat yourself up for the choices that you're making, the easier it's going to be for you to maintain a healthy dancer's weight and reach your personal best dancer's body. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time. If you ever have any topics you would like me to cover here on the Whole Dancer YouTube channel, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can always send me an email, jess@thewholedancer.com, or you can leave your ideas right here in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.